So for this particular venue, we now get into the next panel discussion, which is boosting insurance inclusion by harnessing technology. So I would like to call upon the moderator, Khushboo Aggarwal. Yes. So Khushboo is a pharmacist, MBA from BITS Pilani, an IMK by training, and healthcare is a passion as well as an area of expertise. She was a healthcare consultant for many years with Deloitte and Monitor Group. She worked on projects in developed market where she helped big pharma companies launch billion-dollar products and worked with large insurance companies in the patient engagement and care domain. Today, so she represents Zyla, which is India's highest personalized care management platform focused on improving health outcomes. Zyla enables care at scale for insurers, employers, and big pharma through its human-assisted AI on the 24/7 conversational Zyla app. Some of their clients, they have a lot of clients, so you can talk about it. Yeah, so Khushboo, welcome as a moderator of this session. So I would now like to call upon, the panelists. What I would also do is, some of you are sitting behind, if you can just move forward, because now we have a little bit of an empty seats on the front. So if you could just come ahead. So I would like to now call upon the first panelist, which is Dr. Tarun Agarwal. Yeah. Dr. Tarun Agarwal is from the he's a director at the National Insurance Academy with more than 30 years of leadership and academics experience. He has been part of the teams at SDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, and FinoPayTech. He has worked extensively in the areas of financial inclusion, financial education, microfinance, corporate strategy, funding and business scale, product innovations, HR and digital payments. As an academician, he has been with leading business schools in India as member, governing council and director, professor, head of the department, come chairman placements. His areas of expertise include commercial banking, corporate credit appraisal and finance, banking operations, microfinance, insurance and inclusion, financial markets, B2B marketing, and HR management. So welcome, on the panel. Our next panelist is Madhura Karnik, who's the Chief Growth Officer at Haqdarshak Empowerment Solutions. With over 6.5 years of experience working within the development sector and another 8+ years of experience in corporates and media, she brings to the table strong connections with non-profits, philanthropies, and corporations within the ecosystem. In the past, she has written for Indian and foreign publications, including Mint, Quartz, Bloomberg, and Reuters on the Indian economy, corporates, and banking. She started a career as an analyst at CRISIL, working with S&P's team researching the US structured finance sector. She's passionate about justice and empowerment. Welcome, Madhura. Our next panelist is Shanai Ghosh, who's the Managing Director and CEO of Zuno General Insurance. She heads one of India's fastest growing insurtechs, Zuno General Insurance. She took over as a CEO in May 2019, making her the first woman CEO for an Indian general insurance company. Guiding Zuno's GI purpose of making insurance easy, friendly, and transparent. She focuses on 3 strategic pillars of superior customer experience, product innovation, and digital delivery. At Zuno GI, she is building a technology-driven general insurance platform that can deliver innovative solutions to customers, leveraging data and analytics to transform customer service and industry norms. She's always been a strong advocate of transformational power of technology and data that propels her advocacy for data-driven customer centricity in the general insurance industry. A tech enthusiast, she sees data and technology-driven customer experience as a key to sustainable industry differentiation. Beyond her career, she finds solace in the mountains and nature's interest in music and interior design, blending intuition with an analytical bent of mind for holistic decision-making in business and life. Welcome, Shanai. Our next and final panelist on this discussion is Sorabh Bhandari. who's the co-founder and director at Riskcovry. He has worked extensively in corporate finance and M&A and built large distribution-led businesses for insurers over his 2 decades in the industry. He's an experienced business head with a tested history of running inside the insurance industry, corporate finance and insurtech sectors. He's proficient and skilled in working in the transaction advisory offerings, investment banking, building B2B2C groups, business relationship management, risk management, and business development. A Bachelor of Commerce and Economics from Narsi Monji College of Commerce and Economics, and an MBA from the University of Warwick Business School. Sorabh has leadership skills and as a business head with Liberty General Insurance from January 2012 to 2016, and before that he was head for Bank and Affinity in the same place. He's also been a keen observer and managed numerous projects skillfully. So, Sorabh, welcome on the show. And without much ado, Khushboo, the panel is all yours. Thanks.
Thank you so much. A very good afternoon all, and it's really a heart-warming day today to see such an energetic Saturday. So thank you for taking out your weekend to be part of this, and what an amazing full house it has been today. So I'm Khushboo Aggarwal. I'll be hosting this panel, and I have with me today esteemed guests from across the industry who will bring in varied views on how we boost inclusion in insurance, leveraging technology. So we've spoken about various things since morning, from risk to underwriting to data to various industries as well. Today, what we'll do now in this panel is talk about including the earlier not included groups as part of insurance. And given our very diverse panel, I must say, Dr. Tarun will bring about nuances on academia. He's an academician, and he's also sort of led large banks. So he'll bring in that flavor of how new age skills are required to bring in insurance to newer segments. Shanai will talk about how we leverage technology to now cover people who are at higher risk or segments which are not covered earlier across motor, health, other segments. Madhura brings in a great aspect of the socio-economic upliftment. How do you include segments which are not as well-to-do, socially not as socially deprived to the insurance schemes? And Sorabh will talk about new age technology-led revolution. He leads Riskcovry with an API-led model. How do we bring in new segments and distributors into the radar? So thank you so much for joining us today. What I'll do is to talk about inclusion in insurance leveraging technology. I'd like to start with Madhura. And Madhura, I know your work is an epitome of insurance inclusion, right? You've been able to offer seamless government schemes to the underprivileged, to MSMEs, and I also know that your team is very inclusive with 80% women. So I want to understand, how are you driving this inclusion in a very difficult country like India, where we have literally hundreds of socioeconomic segments?
Thanks, Khushboo. Hi, everyone. So I'm representing Haqdarshak, and just to give a small summary of what we do, we have an assisted tech model where we are bridging the gap between government and private entitlements and the users, right? And we started 7 years ago with a very clear aim that you have to take government entitlements to the doorstep for people living below the poverty line. Similar to as we have financial services for all of us today. We have an LIC agent coming to our home to get our policy done. But a construction worker working in a construction site in Bombay does not know that there is a BOCW fund that the government has kept for him and how to leverage that. So we have our proprietary technology. We have a cadre of agents who work with that technology. And they do 2 things. They help, one, in the eligibility discovery, which is one very important part to inclusiveness, right? Today, most people for whom government schemes are designed, and be it social protection, be it social security, be it social credentials or documentation, people don't know what they're eligible for. And that is also because there is a long list of documentation required, the application processes are difficult, and typically a worker or someone who is really dependent on daily wage will not spend that kind of time understanding it. So the first part of eligibility awareness is solved by our app, which is basically a profiling app, We've digitized over 6,000 welfare schemes in the country, cutting across thematic areas, not just insurance, but everything from health, education to livelihood. And then there is the assisted part, because I think when we started Haqdarshak, we tried to do an all digital model, and we massively failed in the first year, where people said that, hey, this app is great, and while it is available in 11, regional languages, I am not going to go through long laundry lists of technical terms. Hence, we said, okay, let's identify someone from your community who can help you do for that. And hence, this is where the agent cadre comes in, where they are using the app, going to the community, profiling them, telling them about their eligible welfare schemes, and then doing the end-to-end processing from application to convergence, right? And that's how inclusion is important for us. When you're giving the community the same accountability and the same agency to try and find out what the government has for them in terms of welfare, a lot of inclusion automatically sort of happens. It's not just for gender, but also across. We work with rag pickers, and we also work with domestic workers, and we also work with construction workers, right? So that's what inclusion is for us and what we do.
So inspiring. Thank you so much. I also want to cover on another aspect now with Ayushman Bharat growing, and literally, we're about to hit half of the country being insured, states being declared as universal health coverage states. How are you driving people to actually use such policies? I know you distribute a ton of such schemes, Ayushman Bharat, and similar schemes being part of that. So I understand people get access to Ayushman Bharat, but how do I actually use it at the time of claim? Is Haqdarshak also helping people with that last mile support?
Right. So as you rightly said, I think Ayushman Bharat, the problem is post-linkage, right? It's not about eligibility or awareness. That's massively known. What happens is that if as an Ayushman Bharat card holder, I need hospitalization today, and if I am not in one of the mainstream cities or districts, I do not know which hospital one is empaneled, and if I go there, I'm not really encouraged to sort of go through the formal process. And that's where we are trying to use our agent cadres as grievance redressal mechanisms. We have a multilingual chatbot that we are trying to sort of develop today for grievances. We also have our own brick and mortar centers called Yojana Kendras that do a lot other things apart from grievance redressals. But these are in aspirational districts at block levels. Anyone can walk into a Kendra, understand about any scheme, and also then ask about, hey, by the way, I have a scheme. I want access to X treatment at Y hospital. How do I go about it? So the agent is doubling up as a post-linkage sort of communication channel for the community. And that is the need. We are not seeing a lot of demand for, hey, get me enrolled in Ayushman, but the demand is for, okay, hey, what do I do after getting enrolled in Ayushman? So that's a big gap where we are now sort of, focusing our efforts on.
Wonderful. And given that Maharashtra was the first state to be declared universally health covered under Ayushman Bharat, I think the candid audience sitting here has a lot to learn from Madhura on how to, access that scheme for the entire state. Thank you so much for that inspiring story. Moving on to, a very inspiring women leader in the insurance sector, Shanai. Shanai, I would love to understand, given that you're driving Zuno from the forefront, insurance companies are leveraging technology to now cover the earlier not penetrated segments, what we called uninsurable segments, right? Because as insurance penetration grows, to keep growing, you will have to cover even those uninsurable segments. So how are we leveraging technology on that front, Shanai?
First of all, Khushboo, I think this is a great panel because it kind of summarizes the vision as it's been spelled out by the insurance industry, which is insurance for all by 2047. In fact, maybe the date will be much more advanced. So when we look at, insurance penetration in the country, and you're absolutely right that if we really want to improve penetration, we have to go beyond the normal boundaries that we've been working within towards. It's actually about two things. It's about access, and it's about creating products that are relevant to people and at price points that are affordable to them. And the third point which he spoke about, I won't get to that, is about delivery. Because insurance is really a contract and the product is really the service that we deliver, which is claims, right? These are 3 points that you have to enable. And if we look at, what has been considered uninsurable, first of all, I think uninsurable, let's break it down to one, which is what was inaccessible, which we didn't know, And the other is uninsurable because we know and we don't think it's insurable. So the first part, everyone knows, the access problem has been solved tremendously by insurance. We heard examples in the previous panel discussions about what was being done in crop insurance. We heard the speaker from Meta talk about the power of WhatsApp. So access, which was earlier proving difficult for insurers to actually go down to the last mile and sell products that are sachet products, maybe 1 rupee, 2 rupee or 10 rupee, technology has transformed that. So the unit economics has been transformed. So access has been enabled, and because of the internet penetration in the country and the ubiquitous mobile phone, we are able to reach the last mile at a very in a very cost efficient way. So once we have solved the problem of access, and even if that access is assisted or unassisted, unassisted is obvious. If it's assisted, even the people who are reaching the last mile are assisted by technology, so the the entire process is easier for them. In terms of creating products that are relevant, meaningful and affordable, I think technology has done two things. One, it has harnessed the existing data that's available and explained it to us and given us insights that help us, create products that are meaningful. And the second thing is, where data is not available, we are able to either get third-party data, or we are able to create data models and constantly learn from those data models and ingest data and build models that are constantly learning from experience. And we are creating that data. In fact, insurance is one of the original industries that thrives on data, because our entire product development is on actuarial pricing, which is all about interpreting data and looking at the risk and pricing the risk. So a few examples on accessibility I'll give you. For instance, and we don't think much about it, but it has transformed in the last 5 years. If you look at motor insurance penetration today, it's possible to take a picture of a scooter or a moped or whatever on driving on a road and tell you instantly whether it's insured or not, and send the person a link to buy now. So that's the power, and this wasn't possible earlier. And two things have happened. One, of course, the technology and the pathways have been created. But the second thing that has happened is huge amount of data centralization that has happened. So today, through various companies, like all insurance companies, we give data to IIB, through IIB, and then we upload it on Vahan. All the RTOs are online. So there's huge centralization of data. So through one ping, you can understand whether this car has the necessary insurance or not. And along with that, through all our pricing models, we know how to price it. That's our data. Through APIs, we are connected, and we can immediately give a quote for that, and the person can buy it instantly, generate an instant policy. And in fact, as we speak, there is an ongoing effort where all the data of uninsured vehicles has been sent to MOTH, and MOTH is in the process of sending it to each state, and each state will do a campaign to all in uninsured vehicles, and we are trying to figure out how to do a campaign to send it to them, give them the quote instantly, and have it debited from something like a FASTag or something. So that will reduce the uninsured population. And this is not just public-private partnership, this is also partnership of data and technology together. Health is a little more complex problem to solve. The one problem that we've solved in health, I think, is about access, which is, it's very easy to buy a health insurance policy today, online, digitally, anything. And while we take it for granted that, the process today, but it wasn't like this even 5 years ago. There's almost no paper-based application today. It is an OTP-based signature. Most applications are non-medical, so we largely have underwriting models that either load automatically for lifestyle diseases based on our analysis, or they do some tele-underwriting, which again uses some data to give us a score for underwriting. Now, all these things have happened in the last 5 years, and in fact, probably COVID was a tailwind for this level of transformation in health. So the access has improved tremendously, so it's possible to get almost an instant health policy. However, on the product and underwriting side, I think there is a lot more room, there's a lot of room for improvement. And one of the key reasons for, I would say, limited progress on that is the availability or the centralization of data. The data for health is fragmented and distributed all across various constituents and participants. If the health stack, whenever the health stack becomes a reality, I think that will be transformational. Till then, what we have done is in industries that we've used our data. I think we had a lot of data. We hadn't leveraged it before. We've used our own data, we've used IIB data, and we've understood at-risk segments much better. So you will have people who are actually accepting people with lifestyle diseases earlier. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have had such easy underwriting for people with various kinds of lifestyle diseases. Today we have. And that's largely because of our own analysis. But I think for making far more progress on this, we will need to have some level of data repository or centralization or access to data that we have been able to create with motor, and we still haven't been able to do with health. So for health, that's the next frontier. For motor, the next frontier, I think, is usage and user-based data, which we as insurers, we've started generating, and a lot of car auto manufacturers have started generating. So that is the next frontier for really creating personalized solutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shanai, for those thoughts in how data is driving things in motor and health is catching up. As we know, just a follow on to that, Shanai, as we know that when Aadhaar IDs are fully universal in India, data access even in health will be much simpler, and the government has already created 30 crore Aadhaar IDs, right? And just with an OTP authentication similar to UPI, tomorrow you'll be able to provide your health data, longitudinal health data, to any provider, a hospital or clinic, with just an OTP authentication. But before all of that becomes a reality, Shanai, if we do not have data on a user, right, even with all of the tech advances, there will be user segments, given we are 140 crore people in India, who we don't have much data on. Are there technologies emerging which are more persona-led, more correlation-led, that we can still leverage to help these people get some level of insurance?
Absolutely. I think that's what we are doing as an industry, because if in the absence of data, you are using external surrogate data and persona-led data, or things like AI, facial imagery technology, to get an estimate of the risk and price it, and then capturing that data and constantly, like I said, learning from it and improving our own models. So that's obviously happening. I think building data pipelines, identifying all the alternative sources of data which are non-traditional, is something that technology is helping us do, and identifying, which is helping us underwrite people without any idea of their health or risk profile. I think if we look at COVID, for instance, COVID was one of the examples where industry learned very quickly. We went through some pain, but we learned very quickly about how to price some kind of almost catastrophic health risk. So today, actually, we have models where we know that, if there's a COVID-like event, what could it possibly, and we've learned this in 1 year's time. So I think the way for the industry is trying to address the problem of, underwriting risk for which we have no data, is obviously looking at alternative sources of data, triaging all these alternative sources of data, using AI, and building it together to get a sort of risk score, and take an estimate of that risk score and have a pricing model for that, and constantly improving that pricing model based on our understanding and our own data models. Of course, technology has a huge role to play in creating the data pipeline. But yes, health stack, the moment it comes, when it completely comes alive, and today, as you know, all insurers are mandated to be on the claims exchange. All of us have to be able to generate Aadhaar IDs. In fact, Zuno was was the first insurer to start generating Aadhaar ID, integrating with the health stack. we've also been mandated to actually introduce Abha ID capture during the process of selling a policy, renewing a policy claim. So we are making Abha IDs as ubiquitous as probably Aadhaar is, and using that as the conduit, obviously based on consent of the customer, to get information both to underwrite as well as service claims seamlessly. And because Aadhaar is going to give data for us to all the 140 crore Indians that we have, it's possible to use that to the Abha ID to underwrite large segment of this population with or without data.
Thank you so much, Shanai. Great to see IIA driving innovation via regulation in your sector. I know it must be tough for insurers to keep catching up, but it's great to see a regulator being so advanced in new age. And given I live and breathe healthcare, I wait for the time when 140 crore Indians have access to usable health insurance, as we call it. Great, moving on. Thank you for that, Shanai. Sorabh is our new age entrepreneur. He runs Riskcovry. And I understand, Sorabh, Riskcovry enables insurance distribution via a plug and play API. So literally any company can become a distributor tomorrow through your API. I want to understand what are the new customer segments you've been able to get access to and provide insurance to through this technology.
I'm audible? Yeah, hi. So, first of all, I would want to take, a few steps back. And, when we started this journey almost 6 years back, if you understand the insurance value chain, you have the manufacturers, the distributors, and the end consumers. And because insurance for a long period of time till now and going forward was sold and is continually going to be sold, it was important to solve for the distribution problem, right? And that's where we sit. So we sit right at the cusp, right between the insurance manufacturers and the distributors, solving for the distribution problems that exist in the country. Now, in doing so, what we've been able to do in the last 5.5 years is that simplify the access and scale problem that the distributors faced when it came to insurance distribution. If you see the insurance distribution landscape, that can be divided into two parts. They have the traditional incumbent set of distributors, which you have agents, banks, large financial institutions, etc. And then you would have the new age the new age distributors who are adopting distribution in this market, which is where we see a fair amount of traction that's coming. Now, how that's been enabled by us, it can be broken down into two parts. You have the distributors by themselves and the cohort of customers that these distributors are catering to. So what we've been able to do very efficiently, which was one of the very important catalysts, while technology from distribution standpoint is always going to be a catalyst. It's going to be an enabler. It's not going to be the end goal per se. And that's what we believe strongly. For the distribution fraternity, what we've been able to do is that we've been able to enable experimentation very quickly. So what we have done here is that when any distributor who's introducing insurance as a new category for themselves, whether it is mobility, whether it's e-com players, whether it's the last mile, kirana stores that we do, we have been able to, touch across almost 11 different sub-industry categories that have introduced insurance as a new product, contextually or by virtue of an affinity program, right? So that's where it became simplification of the process has really helped. Experimentation, I can give you some examples there that, some of the partners that came on and plugged onto our platform were able to experiment almost 3 to 4 different products in the short span of 6 months. Now that wasn't possible before they were kind of doing this. So what we help them do is abstracted the the pains of probably defining what product to distribute, where the contextuality lies, which insurance companies to deal with, whether it should be life, health, general. All those pieces was simplified via the rails and the pipes that they had plugged into via us. It did take us almost 5 years to kind of get here, but today we can say clearly that at the level of maturity that the platform is, the partners that are plugged into us are experimenting very fast. So the new examples of where we've been able to touch inclusion is the gig economy. One of the examples where a lot of gig economy workforce aggregator platforms, we've been able to kind of power in insurances for daily use cases, where when they plug in, go in and sign on to this app saying that, I've been assigned a task today, and the attendance is signed in, the insurance is signed in for the 24 hours. Now, that's powered by us. Similarly, when you do mobility, right, or you're doing a transaction when you're buying a mobile phone across different OEMs, we have 30,000 plus outlets that actually have insurance invisibly powered for lending that's happening for the devices that's being purchased. Now, these are all use cases where access wasn't available earlier. And this is all the low-end middle-income group where inclusion and access and introduction of insurance is coming through. So we're doing almost over 100,000 transactions on a month-to-month basis, helping these new customers experience insurance. And not only insurance, so experience of insurance, as we all know, is not about just having the access to it. We also are allowing them to experience insurance when the time of claim, because that's where you really, the proof of pudding is. Where we are actually allowing them to start the intimation process via the workflows that we've exposed there. So mobility, e-commerce, gig economy workers, gadgets, cyber on payments. These are the use cases where people, because of access of telecom, and we just spoke about it, Shanai has done a great job of making it very simple for me to talk about all of this, because half of the things that I wanted to speak about were very well covered by you, so thank you there. It sets up the conversation very easy for me, but yeah, it's been a wonderful space, and I think we are basically closing down. If you see the ecosystems, when we started the organization almost 5.5 years back, we were very young. The ecosystem was very young. The questions that we were asked was, what are you going to do? Are you a broker? Are you an insurance company? People didn't understand what we were doing. We were trying to create a category, and that's what the InsurTech space, and that's what this whole forum is all about, right? There's so much money, time, and effort that's going around enabling different parts of the ecosystem for the industry, and that's what we need to appreciate, that's helping us reach where we are today. So I think we're very well poised to zero in onto the vortex, where this can just tip over from where we are today. So that's what I would want to say.
Thank you so much, Sorabh. So very exciting times ahead.
Yes.
Imagine grocery stores powering insurance distribution. That will be, insurance catching up the pace of FMCG in terms of last mile distribution. So very, very exciting how API-based architecture is enabling and powering such distribution, Sorabh. So moving on to the academician in the room, and such a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Tarun, today. He runs Indian Insurance Academy, National Insurance Academy, and he's the director there. So all of the brainy folks joining insurance, come out of his amazing university and are bringing innovation to the world and the country. So Dr. Tarun would love to understand how you think with this evolving infrastructure and evolving insurance landscape, what new skills do you think insurance professionals need to harness, need to learn to be able to make a difference and evolve the ecosystem further?
Thank you, Khushboo. First of all, thank you to InsurTech Association for inviting, and I'm very humbled to be part of this session whereby, you all have some organizations, but I do not hold any particular organization to kind of talk about. As Khushboo said, I am on the education side, so I would like to invite all of you here to experience our trainings and, send your kids for doing MBA with us. We will be very happy to train them. Taking on the topic, Khushboo, this is very, very relevant question. What I hear is the word on this panel is inclusion. When we say inclusion, and I'm also hearing the word penetration, and when we say inclusion, penetration, there is an opportunity. So why are we all not latching upon that opportunity? And when we know that larger part of the country is unbanked, so where does the problem lie? right? So I would not like to be rhetoric by saying, AI, ML, so and so. So every one of us, have heard about Chat GPT and all. I think the insurance industry products is a maze which we all need to understand revolves around revenue, risk, payoffs, and premium. But bundled around all this is a word called as trust. Are we really all working towards opening that key or making that key which opens the doors of that trust? I think that's what banking did in the country, and I think most of us would have read in the news that the 5 decades of work has been done in 6 years by the business correspondents. So this leads us to come to the point where I believe that data is the new oil, and we need the need is arising that we have people, we have generation who talks about data management, data analytics, data evaluation, and all this has to also move around the I would say customer relationship management. And when I talk about customer relationship management, I must say it is all about customer protection and innovation. And when I say that, once again, the other areas which come to my mind are robotics, I would say sensors, drones. These are some of the other technologies which can be used. Why are we thinking only of health and population? Why are we have so many areas to insure, right from crop insurance to so many areas, right? So all these technologies. So we will talk about them as well. I think the panel will have the opportunity to speak about all these greater opportunities. And apart from that, I think there is a need for modeling of uncertainties, and where I think actuarial business comes into place. And because this is a very, very statistical models which needs to be built up. Apart from underwriting and operational risks, so all that I think most of the experts and learned people from the insurance industry knows about it. So that's why I'm not touching about it. So I think basically these are the major areas, Khushboo, which are coming in, which needs to be looked at. And if drones, sensor aspects can be linked with the satellite information, now that we have reached moon and we are making the attempt to reach at closer to sun, I think we can have the best of the information and thereby produce leaders in the insurance industry, and various institutions are there working in this space, right from National Insurance Academy, III Insurance Institute of India, IRM, BIMTech, and so many institutions are there. I think these are the basic needs which are coming forward.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Tarun, for touching on that aspect. I think importance of teaching data analytics, data science to new age insurance professionals is what Dr. Tarun is highlighting will be key to success as we move forward, especially with the plethora of data our large country will have. Dr. Tarun, you touched upon crop insurance, very interesting use case you brought in there. Would love to hear, and I know you have expertise in that as well, would love to hear some examples of how you've seen technology being used for, say, something like crop insurance, and given the vast coverage of fields in our country, how do we leverage technology, make it less human dependent, to make it more data driven?
Yeah, thank you, Khushboo. Once again, a very, very relevant question. I would like to again go back and touch upon the topic of penetration and inclusion. You see, when we talk about only technology, I think technology will not only lead us to penetration. It is a combination of three aspects, which again I am trying to put in forward as what banking did is providing technology which is trustworthy, which delivers with speed, and which is easy to understand and operate. When I say this, why can't we kind of create a digital symphony to sing the song of success in the insurance industry? And to do that, if we can unlock this trust, unleash the access, navigate the risk and the cyber risks, agility in adopting, and bind it with the people, process, and technology overall. I think this panel, which is working on the consumer side, and I am always on the consumer side of the insurance, and working on the creating more of a pull factor rather than the push factor, I think that would be the game. But talking of the crop side, yesterday I was speaking with some of the specialists in a room, and as we have another panel going on simultaneously, which is talking of taking InsurTech global, we were talking of working on multiple level perils in the insurance space, and the kind of work which is happening on the crop side, on the agriculture side, is something amazing. So people are talking of soil moisture, people are talking of scantiness of lights, velocity of wind. All these factors, they can be taken on. So I would just just wanted to bring to this gathering and to my fellow panelists here that few of the products which have been developed in European countries and are coming to India as well are working towards revenue loss protection. So one of them is reduction in I would say milk production in dairy due to enhanced heat. So there is a revenue loss to the dairy farmer. Taking the same thing, heat again to the poultry side, the egg production going down, again a revenue loss. It has also gone towards building products whereby when the banking is working on the microfinance side, and let's say if there's a calamity or something happens which destroys the small business or the production, then how insurance can protect the next 4 EMIs of that microfinance consumer. And last but not the least, the product which I heard in the group of panelists, we were sitting in a group of senior people yesterday, is how we can prevent the rent loss of warehouses owners. When this calamity happens, there is no production happening, and how will this production reach to the warehouses. So these are some of the few areas I think we need to look at, and there are various many things happening, and we as an academy would be very happy to bring about and collaborate with all the people here on the various deeper research areas, and work in a collaborative manner.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Tarun. So it's great to hear that there are multivariable data models being created for underwriting, not just for health or motor, but also for areas like crop. So we'll maybe take one question, Shobha, if it's okay. Okay, we are over time. Really sorry, we took more time than slated. But please feel free to catch the panelists. They'll be here. So if you have any questions for Shanai, Madhura, Sorabh, or Dr. Tarun, they'll be very happy to address. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful hosting you. Thank you.